Hello my fellow Retromaniacs and welcome to Let's Read Banjo-Kazooie manual for N64. So I never owned Banjo-Kazooie for N64. I don't know why, maybe I thought that it was too childish. You know, I was getting into that age where you think that, oh, it's for kids. Although I still liked Pokemon, so I don't know. Maybe this would have been a good game, but I just kind of like missed it when it came out. And I was happy enough to play like Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time and then Donkey Kong 64, so the whole Banjo series kind of went off my radar, and Banjo-Kazooie as well. So it wasn't until I got into emulation that I played Banjo-Kazooie, and I really liked it. I still have Banjo-Kazooie to finish off, but I will continue that at some point. Let's read the manual, why not? And into the seal of quality. Well, this game certainly deserves it. Okay, we've got characters, special moves, collectible objects, the worlds. Yeah, in Banjo-Kazooie they went a little bit different route. So it wasn't like pre-rendered high quality models like in Donkey Kong Country, but even here they're using just the in-game graphics. Yeah, I don't know if it was even possible to like do the same thing on N64 that as in Super NES, that you could have a like high quality pre-rendered model and then you like compress it. I don't think it works that way. It's easier when you have sprites because it's just like bitmap, but you can't like make detailed model look the same if you try to run the game even in somewhat good frame rate. So it has to be simple geometric triangles and not like too much textures. So yeah, which is same. I think that's why I think Donkey Kong Country have aged better than Banjo-Kazooie, because Banjo-Kazooie nowadays it's not a very pretty game, is it? I mean, it's bright and it's controlling well and the puzzles are nice, but still like think that 16-bit era graphics are more charming than these crude early polygon-based games. Controller. This was quite early in the N64, so no like expansion pack yet. The story. At last, the dirty green and blue smoke was beginning to clear. Gruntilda stood at the topmost window of her lair, grinning wickedly down on her latest world. "Tiny creatures far below," she cackled. "Which of you'll be first to go?" The witch rubbed her hands in glee at the prospect of putting her favorite invention to good use. It was her pride and joy, a machine that could suck the physical beauty from its victims for Gruntilda to absorb like a sponge. Well, I'm sure that Snow White's stepmother would have liked that. device. And it would certainly teach her cutesy sister Brentilda a lesson. How dare that interfering do-gooder inherit the family good looks and leave Gruntilda, well, slightly disadvantaged in that department. Ha! Not anymore, gloated the witch, picking her nose smugly. Not anymore. Well, you can fix your look with Botox, but not your manners. Turning back to the bubbling cauldron, Gruntilda began to cast a spell which would reassure her that she was, of course, the most wonderfully attractive creature in this bright new world. Meanwhile, Tootie was skipping home through the sunny green fields of Spiral Mountain. As she reached the garden gate, a pair of blurry eyes that could only belong to her good friend Sparkles popped up from a nearby molehill.
"Morning, Tootie,"
he blinked, uncorking himself from the hole.
"And what are your plans for this fine day?"
Tootie jumped up and down excitedly, remembering Banjo's promise.
"Oh," she squealed, "when my lazy brother gets out of bed, we're going on an adventure." "That's nice."
Puddles squinted up into the sky.
"Hang on, is that your brother up there?"
Tootie turned and saw an odd shape swooping down towards them at high speed.
"No, that can't be Banjo,"
she said, frowning. "I wonder who is it?" Okay, we have seen some like pre-rendered stuff here, like these boots. This is also pre-rendered. So is this egg. But some of the manual graphics come from the game. I feel like this is just like JPEG egg cut from the game intro.
Sweeter than me, prettier than me, impossible.
Gruntilda was so furious at the cauldron's words that she could barely control her broomstick, screeching with anger every time her boots clipped the treetops.
"As cute as me, you stupid pot. For her own sake, I hope she's not."
The witch sped recklessly until her target finally came into view. Staring up at her from a field far below was the innocent young honey bear she'd seen in the depths of the treasure's cauldron. Gruntilda cackled.
"I need those looks far more than she, and finally perfect I shall be,"
she cried, and sent the broomstick into a steep dive. Kazooie popped out of the backpack as noise erupted just outside the window.
"Banjo!"
she squeaked in alarm.
"Banjo, wake up!"
The honey bear groaned and pulled a pillow over his head. "Oh, Kazooie, it's too early," came his muffled voice.
"This is no time to be lazy, Furfus,"
trilled the pre-gull, swinging anxiously to and fro.
"We've got trouble."
Banjo yawned, rolled over and fell out of bed in surprise as Kazooie's struggles suddenly toppled both the backpack and its stand onto the floor with a crash. At the same time, a sudden gust of wind blew open the curtains, and beneath the peals of manic laughter fading into the distance, Banjo heard the helpless cries of a voice he recognized. "Tootie!" The bear gulped, realizing that this was definitely going to be one of those days.
Kazooie, what are you doing down there?"
he said in confusion, grabbing the backpack as he bolted for the door.
"There's no time to be lazy. We got trouble." Gosh!
Alright. Banjo, a honey bear, with a love of sleeping, swimming, and even dancing when the mood takes him. Banjo has found life to be just too interesting for its own good since he found himself adopted by Kazooie. His pre-gull friend just seems to attract trouble like a magnet. Kazooie, unlikely as the partnership may seem, Banjo and Kazooie have been firmest friends since the day they met. Red-crested pre-gulls are notorious loudmouths, but at least there's plenty of truth behind Kazooie's boasts. She and Banjo together make an extraordinary team. Yeah, I never realized that Kazooie was supposed to be she, female. You know, in the graphics, you know, it doesn't really show because she, you know, usually in cartoons, if a character is a female, she has like eyelashes or some feminine parts, like you know, ponytail or lipstick or a dress. So I think I'm not the only one who thought that Kazooie was a guy. Tootie, Banjo's little sister, as cute, sweet and innocent as Kazooie, is loud, brass and shameless. Looking after Tootie is a full-time job for Banjo, as he tends to wander off as soon as his back is turned, so his feathered partner's love of exploration often comes in handy. Puddles. A good friend of Tootie, this chirpy little mole has never been too fond of the loud company kept by Banjo. Under the circumstances, Puddles will do all he can do to help, even if that means putting himself on the receiving end of Kazooie's raucous banter. Yeah, Rare usually wants to use quite poetic terminology. Raucous. I think I've heard that. I think I know what it's like. Loud. It's supposed to mean loud. Gruntilda. She's selfish, spiteful and nasty, and now she's on a mission to make herself attractive by stealing the beauty of other people. Unfortunately, Gruntilda doesn't seem to realize that she'll always be ugly on the inside. Or if she does, she really couldn't care less. Gruntilda, the witch's sister, is her opposite in every way and a far better person for it. Unfortunately, even Gruntilda's fairy godmother powers aren't strong enough to let her confront Gruntilda directly, so she offers all the help she can to Banjo and Kazooie instead. Mumbo Jumbo. Former teacher of Gruntilda's, this mysterious shaman was betrayed by his pupil before he could prevent her from putting his magic to bad use. The witch transformed Mumbo's face into a mask of horror to remain that way until the day she's overthrown. It's interesting that, you know, Banjo-Kazooie and both Banjo-Kazooie and Crash Bandicoot have this mumbo jumbo voodoo aspect in them. Okay, chicka. How do you know? I don't know if it was just a coincidence or I don't know. I wonder if anyone finds this like a little bit racist or something these days. I don't know. You never know what some people think. Then we got some moves. Elpado not used. Stolen from Ennio Morricone's Good, Bad and Ugly. Main menus, yeah. 7 quick view totals. Yeah, it's very much like Spyro. I think Spyro was released around the same time, so they were like stealing ideas with the collectibles and whatnot. So I don't know. But if Crash Bandicoot is like Banjo-Kazooie or like Super Mario 64 or PS1 equivalent of Banjo-Kazooie, would it be Crash Bandicoot or Spyro? I don't know. What do you think? I think they are different enough that you can't say that they are copying. There have been so many other games that you like kids games that have too much violence and are more about collecting things. So it wasn't like truly novel idea. Just that they happened to be released around the same time. Banjo and Kazooie have a wide range of more exotic moves to offer, many performed individually and many more in tandem. Some have to be taught to you by bottles before you can make use of them. Others require the use of an item, bad or both. The full list is as follows. Climbing. Banjo can climb trees, poles, pipes and plenty of other things simply by jumping onto them and using control stick to clamber up or down. Pressing the A button allows him to release his grip and jump off at any time. Swimming. Normal control stick movement automatically switches to surface swimming when Banjo enters a deep enough pool of water, but he can also dive beneath the surface by pressing the B button. There are 2 styles of underwater swimming. Holding the A button and down lets Banjo kicks his feet and maintain a steady speed, while pressing the B button causes Kazooie to spread her wings and give her partner a boost. Pressing the A button in mid-boosts act as a water brake. Blue oxygen meter appears on the left of the screen while Banjo and Kazooie are on water, so there's no excuse for running out. I'm just gonna skip this feathery flap, forward roll attack, rather that trap. That's a nice name. Causes Banjo to jump and Kazooie to pop out her head in a flurry of sharp pecks. Press the A button to jump, then the B button while in midair. A useful attack when you want to keep Banjo just out of range of the enemy. And it can also be used to hit objects or enemies just above Banjo's head. Flap, flip. Somersault. Hold Z button to crouch, press A button and jump. Higher spring. Special moves. Talon Trot. What is it called that? Talon. It's from Zelda Ocarina of Time. Press your brake by carrying him around for a while. Wriggles legs continuing to hold the Z button. And while she's running, Z button reverts normal control. She's also capable of climbing much steeper slopes. Peak Barge. Z and B So handy trick here and there for overcoming tougher bad guys and smashing obstacles out of the way. Peak Buster. People jump jet button while mid-air. It's useful in any number of situations, not just body bashing. Put the B button down for maximum attack range. Egg firing. Many other moves, these are often used as much as in puzzle solving as they are in attack. Shock spring jump. So to reach heights and even flip won't take them. Stand on the pad all day button. Yeah, they really utilized well all the buttons on N64. Flight pads. Both Peak Bomb and Peak Buster can be done in mid-flight. Peak Bomb only available when Kazooie is flying. The Peak Bomb is a lightning-fast attack, which is Kazooie clench up and hurl herself through the air like a missile. Press the B button during flight to trigger the assault. Like flapping, this uses a single red feather every time. But it's necessary to defeat certain enemies and flip high up switches. Wonder Wing. Turning them into shields strong enough to render Banjo invulnerable. But uses up golden feathers at the rate of 1 every 2 seconds. Still Stride. Finding a pair of wading boots. Let's Kazooie carry Banjo across parts of the level that would normally be impassable. The piranha-infested waters of Bubble Club Swamp, for instance. The Stride is automatically activated when you pick up a pair of wading boots. Press the B button at any time if you need to end the effect before it wears off naturally. Turbo Talon Trot. Triggered by finding running shoes in the same way as the Stilt Stride is triggered by finding the wading boots. This powered up version of Kazooie's basic talent trot provides the burst of incredible speed that you might just need to reach your destination on time, and can like the Stilt Stride be brought to an early end if necessary by pressing the B button. So yeah. Take that, Super Mario 64. Banjo-Kazooie has so many more moves and variety of gameplay than Mario 64. But whatever, it's you know, but not everything has to be complex. Even the simplest games like Pong are still great even today. In play training areas. Spiral Mountain, the peaceful corner of the country that Banjo calls home, acts as a training ground where you can experiment in relative safety with the moves taught by you by Puddles, the mole. You'll meet this helpful little creature for the first time just outside Banjo's front garden, and from then on you can call him up to give you a quick lesson by simply standing next to any other molehill and pressing the B button. If you want to be able to use any more moves than the basic jump you start off with, you're going to have to earn them. When you're ready to leave the peace and safety of Spiral Mountain area, simply head off for the mountain itself and follow the winding path to the top. Until you meet Puddles for the last time in this area, and he'll tell you whether or not he thinks you learned enough to see you through the perils ahead. Puddles' burrow extends far further underground than you might expect, so don't be surprised to bump into him as you explore later levels. He's got plenty more tricks up his sleeve than those you learned in Spiral Mountain. Yeah, I wonder if there's like a some kind of speedrunner category where you don't get all those battles moves. I don't even know if the game is beatable if you don't get them all. Maybe with some glitches you can play it without getting all the moves. I don't know. It's like, you know, swordless Zelda in NES. So, you know, even though they're like expecting you to get some item, you can play the game without getting it. So I wonder if there's similar things, similar categories for Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong 64, maybe. Maybe you have to know like glitches, but I don't know. I guess with some like no-clip glitches you can even beat the game early. I think you can access like King K. Rool in it. In Donkey Kong 64 very early, because you can like sequence break the cutscenes. But that's kind of different from not trying to beat the game normally with no certain moves or items. Okay, structure and progress. Gruntilda might be ugly, but she certainly isn't stupid. It's an unfortunate fact that her lair does a very good job of keeping out anyone who might try to meddle with her plans. Finding an entrance to the lair is no problem, but from there you'll find that climbing closer to the witch's hideaway at the summit isn't quite so easy. Exploring of the areas open to you will uncover two main types of doorways that need to be dealt with, as well as a couple of other interesting features unique to Gruntilda's domain. Jigsaws. The jigsaws that you'll find on the walls of Gruntilda's lair aren't themselves doorways, but completing one will open up a previously locked entrance to another world. It won't always be an entrance. It could be a grill, a trapdoor, or something even more exciting. But don't worry about not being able to find it, as finishing each jigsaw triggers a cutscene which shows you the entrance in question being unlocked. Note doors. Easily recognized by the musical note engraved upon them, the note doors provide your only way through the inner sections of Gruntilda's lair and the new jigsaws to be found there. You'll soon see that no amount of force will open them, and this is where the notes scattered throughout each of the levels come in. The number etched above a note door tells you how many notes you need to get through. If you gathered enough, it'll swing open without a hitch. Warp cauldrons. At certain points in Gruntilda's lair, you'll likely stumble across one of these handy fixtures, which can save you a lot of trekking around by jabbing you instantly from one part of the world to another. Warp cauldrons come in colored pairs, so to make use of the warp, you first need to locate both cauldrons of the same color. Then all you have to do is jump in one, and in the blink of an eye, you'll be whisked through the warp to pop out of the cauldron at its far end. Spellbooks. In her haste to get Tooty bundled safely away in her penthouse den, Gruntilda failed to notice that she was dropping her precious spellbooks along the way. As a result, there are 3 of these left abandoned somewhere on the path through the witch's lair. They're well worth seeking out, as each book contains a single powerful piece of magic, which will almost certainly increase your chances of making it to the top. I wonder if this manual will refer the swap and switch the egg thing that was removed because of the Nintendo being ended up changing their console so that you couldn't hold the RAM info for long enough for the swap and swatch. Yeah, it was very much unfinished, so even though with modern hacking tools they have found so many evidence of the swap and switch, so but because none of those eggs did anything, so they're just like curiosity, but they don't unlock anything. And the cheat codes you can unlock in the sandcastle anyway. Collectible objects. Don't be put off by the sheer range of items available for Banjo and Kazooie to pick up on their travels through the various game worlds. Everything has a purpose, and it won't be long before you'll know instinctively what you need and when you need it. Jigsaw pieces. These are the most important items of all. Without them you won't be able to open the doorways from Gruntilda's lair to further game worlds. You'll find the first piece soon after entering the witch's domain, and from then on there are 10 to be found in each world. Whether they're held by other characters hidden in hard-to-reach places, or waiting to be earned at the end of tricky puzzles, Banjo and Kazooie are going to need your help to dig them all out. Yeah, the player. Musical notes. Unfinished jigsaws may block your path to new worlds, but it's the note doors which prevent you from reaching higher parts of the Gruntilda's lair itself. Each note door will only open when Banjo's collected a high enough total of musical notes from elsewhere, and with 100 to find in each world, he'd better get searching. Zinjos. 5 of these spirited creatures have been captured and hidden in each world by the grumpy Gruntilda, who took offense at their happy, helpful nature. Find and release all 5 to be rewarded with one of that world's 10 jigsaw pieces. Eggs. Work well as extra weapon for Kazooie and also form part of the solution to many of the game's puzzles. Eggs are generally found in small groups, and it's worth stocking up on them when you get the chance, but remember that ammo space is limited. No more than 100 can be carried at any time. Red feathers. I like how everything has eyes, like they're living things. Kazooie is quite capable of flying, but with a weight like Banjo to carry, she'll need all the help she can get. After launching yourself from a flight pad, press the A button to make Kazooie flap, trading one of your feathers for a boost in height. 50 is the maximum number of red feathers that can be carried. Golden feathers. These are such valuable items that no more than 10 can be carried at any one time. They allow Kazooie to shield Banjo with her wings, making him temporarily invulnerable. Unlike the red feathers, which are used up one at a time, your golden ones form a total which ticks slowly down as you expend their power. Mumbo tokens. Gruntilda has snatched away Mumbo's entire collection of these skull-shaped tokens, and he can't help you with his transformation magic until you retrieve some of them for him. A sign in his hut will tell you the current cost of a spell. Collectible objects. Extra lives. Okay. Honeycomb energy. Extra honeycomb pieces. Like heart containers. While there are of course plenty of landscape features unique to each themed world, some will remain familiar in any and all situations. Pads, spring pads, start exit pads, Slide pads, switches. There are a number of different types and colors of switch to be found throughout the various worlds. Plain switches generally opens up doors or rearrange parts of the scenery so that you can reach new areas. In addition to these, the two other most commonly switches, you'll occasionally find other types unique to certain worlds. So just remember that all switches are activated in the same way by the use of well-timed Beak Buster. Jigsaw switches. Reach and grab the jigsaw piece before the timer hits 0. All hills. Seems like there's nowhere Bottles can go, but you can hardly complain. He's doing all he can to help you. Which switches? It's also reveal jigsaw pieces, but this time back in Gruntilda's lair rather than the current world. Pay attention to the cutscene when you trigger a witch switch to see where the piece appears. It's interesting, you know, how they were able to like show what happens in another world when you are in different world. That was quite unique. I think it also happened in DK64. That they can load the area so quickly. Because if this was like a PlayStation 1 game, it would take so long to load a new area. Beehives. Mambo's hut. The shaman steadily gets around and you'll find one of his holiday homes in several of the game's worlds. It's hard to miss that big gap through the skull look he's so fond of. Mambo will be waiting for you inside his hut, but you won't get much out of him unless you brought enough Mambo tokens to earn yourself a burst of magic. Some of the jigsaw pieces have been hidden so cleverly that it'll take the talents of a native animal to find them, so it's just as well that Mambo Jumbo specializes in transformation spells. Stand on the skull pad before him and press the B button to be chopped into the current level's creature of choice. Well, it's not always an animal, it can be like a bucket as well. Don't worry about being stuck in a different form, as it doesn't cost anything to have Mambo remove or recast the spell once you paid for it the first time. The worlds. Gruntilda's lair. The colossal hag's head leering out over Banjo's homeland isn't much prettier from the inside, and it's no help that Gruntilda's idea of tasteful decoration is based around big pictures of herself. Sounds like a narcissistic person, just like some president we know. Still, at least the lair's varied sort of place with mossy caverns, twisting pipes, great tidal lakes, and even the odd burst of woodland all clustered together in an eerie kind of harmony. Mambo's Mountain. The first jigsaw door that you'll be able to open from the witch dens leads to this world, the shaman's home turf, which he has tried hard to protect from Gruntilda's spiteful magic. You'll find Mambo in the village on top of the mountain. But don't leave without exploring the other miniature worlds in the valley below, particularly Conga the Gorilla's paths and the towering termite mound. It's a especially lush world of sandy shores and sparkling waves. The Cove plays home to such comically larger-than-life characters as Captain Blubber, the incompetent pirate, and Nipper, the giant hermit crab. Yeah, it's weird if you didn't know that Captain Blubber was supposed to be Rare's earlier iteration of Banjo-Kazooie, the Dream World for Super NES. And like the music also comes from that game. partly so. It would be nice if they had like finished the Super NES game, so that would have looked even better than Donkey Kong Country 2 or 3. It seemed to have very nice 16-bit era graphics, but sadly it never materialized because, you know, N64 was released and the development was switched to that console instead. So we only have a couple of short videos of the Dream Adventure game by Rare. The minor inhabitants are less than friendly, as you'll soon realize that when a horde of snapping shellfish and angry crabs comes scuttling and bouncing down the beach towards you. Clanker's Cavern. Wonder how they took these pictures. Maybe they used some their development tool. Seems that all the enemies are disabled. Rusty old pipes and polluted pools of water certainly won't leave you with a false sense of security when you're in Clanker's Cavern, which is just as well because there are plenty of underwater challenges and vertigo-inducing moments to keep you on your toes. Yeah, water levels. Everyone's favorite. The star of the level is Clanker himself, Gruntilda's mechanical trash compactor, who's not particularly happy with the way his life is going. Bubble Gloop Swamp. This is where things start getting really unpleasant. Bubble Gloop Swamp is dank, smelly and dangerous. Definitely Gruntilda's kind of place. There are friendly faces amidst the gloom, however. You'll bump into Mumbo and the famous Tipster Joy Choir, among others, which will hopefully make you for your dealings with the piranha, poisonous swamp frogs and greedy Mr. Wild the crocodile. The terrain is every bit as treacherous on Free Cheesy Peak, where a misstep on an icy slope can send you tumbling into a lake, so cold it stinks. Stay alert though, and you'll only have to deal with missile-hurling snowmen, speeding sledge stunts, and a bizarre fairy-light odyssey from box to tree. Still, at least Boggy the merry old polar bear is around to keep your spirits up. I wonder if they were designing some levels that were too similar to Super Mario 64, like Little Lava Land or Sifty Sands Land or Hazy Maze Cave. So they were like, oh man, Shigeru Miyamoto has already done that, we have to change our plans. There goes months of work, we have to make a new world. Yeah, I think the only similar levels from N64, from Super Mario 64 is a Free CC Peak, because it's like winter level, and Super Mario 64 already has two winter levels. But at least they tried to do something else with this, with the giant snowman. Also, yeah, this is almost like hazy shifting sands land. So yeah, you just can't come up with different enough ideas. It's out of the refrigerator and into the fire as you plunge into this desert world, where even Gobi himself is finding the heat too much to take, and this coming from a camel. Take shelter in the Ancient One's pyramids and meet Ruby, the mysterious snake's charmer. But beware the superheated sand and mummified hands lurking under the surface when you venture back out into the sun. They actually don't mention the sandcastle treasure trove cove. they're keeping that swap and switch thing as it didn't existed. Night has fallen permanently around the creepiest mansion house in existence, giving it a reputation which is entirely well deserved. The whole place is crawling with ghosts, skeletons, bats and worse, searching the old chapel, basement, grounds, including the graveyard, and mansion itself is a hair-raising business, but there's no backing out now if your heart's set on rescuing Tootie. Mad Monster Mansion. Rusty Bucket Bay. The cackling old crone has even got her own ship. Though you'd be right to suspect that it's not the most cheerful vessel in the world. Everything on board seems to have a grudge against you, from the goblin crew right down to the very scenery, including the funnels up on the deck and the crates in the cargo hold. So be on your guard when exploring the ship and its surrounding harbor. I think Rusty Bucket Bay and Clanker's Cavern are somewhat similar. Either one should have been changed to something else, I don't know. Maybe like a what would be a lava land? No, bubblegum land? I don't know. Fairyland? Who knows? The last world before you meet Gruntilda is one of the most challenging of all. At its heart is an enormous tree, which can be visited during any of the 4 seasons, featuring different puzzles and secrets each time. Help Fat Nabnut, the squirrel, gather his nuts, tackle the spiky problem of the wasp's nest, and meet up with some familiar faces as you prepare for your final confrontation. I like the Click Clock Wood music, maybe the best, along with the Mad Monster Mansion as well. And I think Treasury Trove Go is good as well. I think those are my 3 favorite worlds, at least in terms of music. And on, should you manage to overcome the hazards of every world and make your way to the top of Wish's lair, you'll find that she certainly hasn't been lazy all this time. She's been beavering away. Never heard of that saying, beavering away. A special little surprise for her visitors, and nothing will have prepared you for the ultimate challenge that Gruntilda now throws at your feet. And that's the last line on the manual. Okay, well, we didn't learn too much new stuff, like well, it's a sign of a good game when they have enough tutorial material in the game itself, so you don't need the manual. Actually, I've always complained that that's it's a sign of bad game that you cannot if you cannot understand the game mechanics without having the manual. Like some NES games and even especially some Intellivision games or Atari 2600 games are almost like unplayable if you don't have the manual because they are so cryptic. Also some like DOS games as well, but usually Rare made easy enough games and with some nice tutorial levels in the beginning, that so you don't actually need the manual. So yeah, well, it almost feels like I like to play Banjo-Kazooie again. Maybe I will. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye bye.